All right. Well, for this part, I do have a it's like a short little story I kind of put together. It's just based around decision. Um, let's use decision as the focal point to better understanding the mirroring effect. Let's say you grew up in a rough neighborhood where gang activity and violence is high. You're a child and you have a big brother who is involved in this gang activity and violence. One day you're walking down the sidewalk with your big brother, and out of nowhere, a car stops in the middle of the road next to where you and your big brother are walking, and you see a hand holding a gun point out the window, and bullets start flying. Your brother quickly shields you from the flying bullets and pulls out a gun of his own and starts firing. The firing stops, the car drives off, and your brother drops to his knees. Unable to speak from the pain of the gunshot wounds to his body, fades in he quickly fades into parts from his life. Without hesitation, he sacrificed his life to protect you. So no time to speak. You just quickly, after shots being fired upon, you just drop and you're gone. You just fade out right there. There's no goodbye or anything. So take that part into consideration. So without hesitation, he sacrificed his life to protect you. He sacrificed his life long ago, though. What I mean by that is when he chose violence and chose nothing else, meaning he had an option. He chose violence the entirety of his life until the moment he left. What he didn't realize was he was using the mirror effect his entire life. So when he chose violence, the mirror said, "You are violence. This is who you are because you're in charge and you create what you will." So if you're understanding what I mean whenever I say that, that would be like a person. It would be like the inner monologue speaking in your head. You know what I mean? Like you're telling life, "I am a killer. This is who I am, and this is what I do." And life will say, "Then that's what you are, and we will give you that." You're creating. So you're telling the mirror, "This is what I am," and it's saying, "Yes, you are that." I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if you guys are catching on to that or not. The big brother thought his entire life was a product of his own environment, and that holds true to an extent. The misunderstanding comes when you think you can't change your own circumstances, because that's what the mirror is for. So you can look at yourself in the mirror. You can look at any situation and say, "Is this who I am? Is this what I stand for? Is this who I am? Is this what I want to be? Is this what I want to pursue?" You can look at the situation you're in and say, "What am I in relationship to this situation?" And really, truly, fully, wholeheartedly evaluate and assess the situation and go from there. It was too late for him, but the show must go on. Now it's up to you to make a choice in this life. Do you take that situation and say, "Yes, this is my life. This is who we are. We must live this life"? Or do you say, "No, this can't be my life. I will not live this life"? So, I mean, so anybody that's ever had a really traumatic experience where you lose somebody, or, just something close to violence where somebody's life was taken by somebody else, a lot of people, they kind of turn around and they just say, like, "I'm going to get my revenge."
Mm-hmm.
Some people say, I'm gonna get revenge for what they did to my brother. Or then there's some people that say, I just can't. Like I have to look at this from a different perspective, or I have to forgive. A lot of times you'll see videos on the news. You'll see women. A lot of the times, like women will lose their sons because of gang violence, and then you'll see sometimes where they're in court, and you'll see on the news the mother will forgive the person that murdered their son. And like I've seen videos where they walk right up to the man in court and they say, "I forgive you for what you did, and I hope you find a better life at some point." That's forgiveness, you know. But either way, the sacrifice isn't for nothing. If you choose your brother's life, you'll live on with anger, destruction, and hate in your heart. You will hurt and affect everyone around you. You will eventually kill. You will steal. You will betray. You might not have a moral compass. You will infect the hearts and the minds of the younger generations. Also, you can create more monsters like yourself. The mirror does what the creator chooses. If, on the other hand, you choose the opposite, Well, it's the opposite. Um, you looked at the you looked at that situation and used it as an example of what not to do. You saw clear as day that his decision was mirrored back at him. You know that if you choose that path, that'll be you, and you don't want to, and you ultimately don't want that. It takes some time, grieving and healing, but eventually you replace the grief in your heart with forgiveness. You use that forgiveness to move on with your life. You choose not to be a victim of those circumstances. You even use your big brother's death as a focal point in the future for younger generations to see what that life can potentially end up being if one chooses it. You chose forgiveness and your heart is happy, but there is always sort of a melancholy in your heart for him. But no matter what, you use that as a reminder to keep moving forward, to let the spirit of your brother know that no matter what, I will move forward and make you proud. So obviously, like, those types of things can never be they can never just be forgiven just like that. You know, every human being, if you're really in touch with your emotions, you know, you're going to go through a really harsh, tough grieving process, you know, and it takes time to get over something like that. And something is a big brother, you know, that would obviously, you lose anybody like that in your lifetime, it's gonna you're always gonna have a melancholy in your heart. There's always gonna be some sadness there, no matter what you do. But the point is, you know, I mean, if you're choosing the more positive oriented lifestyle and how you conduct yourself as a human being, you know, you'll eventually, you know, you'll still move forward in your life, and you'll always use their spirit as a way of upliftment, you know. I mentioned earlier above that his sacrifice either way wasn't for nothing. What I meant was he sacrificed his life for you to live, for you to choose which path you were going to choose. Both paths provide opportunities. Both paths provide experience. Both provide a life. There is nothing wrong with choosing the negative aspect. You just won't evolve as a human being. The other life provides heart opening opportunities to evolve as a human. You will evolve slower, choosing the first option. Eventually, you'll get to where it is you need to be. The second option provides faster evolution. So, obviously, if you're constantly choosing a life of negativity, and you're constantly caught up in the gossips and the drama, and you're willing to hurt people, if that is your intention, is to constantly hurt people, then you're going to be stuck in, I guess, an endless cycle of hurting, you know, because it's your intention. If your sole intention is to constantly, if you're putting in that negative impact in someone's life, then it's always going to come back around until it's going to come back around, and it's going to hit you, and then you're going to reflect it back, and then it's going to hit you again, and it'll just be a cycle over and over and over and over until you wake up, you know, until you choose differently, until you choose a more positive oriented lifestyle, until you choose a different path, you know. Mm-hmm. You got anything you want to add to that?
I like that quote you said. The mirror reflects back what the creator chooses. I like that. I like that a lot. But that's implying that the mirror is reflecting what the creator chooses. The creator is you. What are you choosing? What are you creating? The mirror is going to reflect that back at you, which the creator is going to give you what you are creating. Like you're literally, the creator is creating with itself. The mirror is the creator, but you are also the creator, and the creator creates unconditionally and unconditionally gives you what you want, no matter what it is. And the creator loves you unconditionally no matter what. So I just, that's what I take from that. The mirror reflects back what the creator chooses. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a pretty good. I got into that rhythm of just writing that, and it felt like the right thing to put it. Obviously, it makes sense, you know. No matter what you do, it's what goes around comes around, in a sense, you know. Like what you put out is what you're gonna get back, you know. And if you're a firm believer in any type of karma, then you understand what we're talking about whenever we mention those types of things.
Yeah. And then earlier when you were talking about like animals, like if you can use bees. I'll just use bees as a real quick example. Like bees, they don't have like a sense of self, but they do have the ability to read emotion. They interact with the energy that's being given to them. So you might see it all the time. Like when somebody's like really calm around a bee, most likely the bee's not going to sting you. It's just going to kind of buzz around. But the more freaked out you get, the more like you start to get scared. The bee is gonna react to that. That's a way of the mirror. That's a mirroring effect. It's gonna the bee is gonna reflect, its behavior is gonna reflect based off of what you're doing. And then if you're scared, well, you're gonna get a reason to be scared. But if you're calm, you'll have a reason to be calm.
Yeah.
Um, so, things like that. Or I'm sure if you're walking in the woods and you just come across a wolf or something, like if you give it its distance, or even a bear, like if you give it its distance and you have like a just maybe a calm demeanor, most likely it's probably gonna leave you alone.
Yeah.
But if you're pretty aggressive, or you have that fear, it's gonna feed off of that fear itself, and it's gonna like it might your chances of getting attacked are a lot higher.
Yeah. With the bee thing, you see a lot of people like a bee will land. There's obviously difference. Some people can't tell the difference between like honeybees and like hornets and stuff. But with bees, like a majority of the time, they're not gonna attack you if you just let them buzz about their business and just let them go. Like they're not gonna bother you. A lot of people will panic and they'll start swatting at them and smacking them, and then that triggers them to be like, oh, like you want to start smacking, like, let's let.
We'll throw hands then.
Yeah, we'll throw hands, especially hornets, man. I mean, obviously hornets and bees are different, but if you mess with a hornet, it's gonna attack you, man, and they don't stop until they get you. Like I've seen hornets chase people too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty wild to see whenever they get aggressive. If you catch them in a bottle, or if you catch them at all and you let them go, they'll
They got a vendetta.
yeah, they got a vendetta. They'll hold a grudge against you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's all. That's pretty much all I have wrote down. I just wanted to provide a quick little story with the because I know a lot of when we spending time in LA, that's like one of the huge things is that you'll hear about is gangs in Los Angeles, and that's obviously something that I grew up. I wouldn't say I idolized gangs, but I watched a lot of movies that influenced my life, that were all gang related. But I would watch gang related movies and then just understand that that's not the life that I would choose.
Mm-hmm.
But it's entertaining to the mind because you can learn a lot of good life values from cinema like that. And
Yeah.
documentaries.
Yeah, and we've had a lot of cousins too, or a lot of family members too, who I wouldn't necessarily say chosen a gang life or anything, but they've chosen a certain path in life that we benefit from. Like we can look at them and say, we don't want to, that's not what we want to. If we continue those same behaviors, that's most likely, that's where we could end up.
Yeah. If you see somebody, I mean the same as with drugs. If you see somebody and they're on drugs, like, and you wonder what it's like to be a drug addict, you can just look at somebody who's on drugs, and that's what it's like to be a drug addict. You don't have to wonder and be like, I want to try it just to see what it would feel like. All you got to do is step outside and find somebody who's on drugs and just be like, that's a potential a reality for me.
Yeah, they make that choice, so you don't have to make that choice.
Yeah. And I could understand how that can kind of sound cliche, because a lot of older, hard-headed kids will say, oh, like, that's not going to be me. That's, I'm still going to do it. I'll just get away with it. Like, you might get away with it to a certain extent, but eventually it's going to catch up to you no matter what. You can't outrun the universe, and the mechanics of the universe. What you're putting out is what you're going to get back. And I'll say that repeatedly over and over and over, is what you're putting out is what you're going to get. If you're constantly projecting, we'll just say, evil onto people, well, then there's always going to be evil acts bestowed upon you one way or another. And eventually that energy compresses so much to the point to where it ends up resulting in being murdered, being shot, something like that,
Or you're most likely going to be you're most likely, like, your area, you're going to be surrounded by that type of behavior too. Like you're going to be surrounded by it, whether it's happening to you or happening to people close to you or directly in front of you. Like whatever type of energy you are carrying out into the world, whatever energy you're carrying within yourself, most likely it's going to reflect back at you in some way, whether it's directly or indirectly.
Yeah. So anyways, guys, we'll move on here.